You might wonder about this subject choice. And speaking of internships, one thing that came into my mind first is something that is at the bottom of my heart: cultures. Why is it important to discuss cultures when you're looking for your next new workplace adventure? Well, first of all, it is because whether you are planning to work abroad, you might want to travel to another continent, another country or city. But even if you would like to stay in your hometown, you might have colleagues coming from the other side of the world or a neighboring country. Or even if you're working with people from the same nationality as you have, you might also see regional differences. And also, you might work with suppliers from different parts of the world. All in all, cross-cultural communication is something that I like to call as a muscle, something that we need to strengthen. It's a very essential skill. So despite having technical knowledge, whether you study to become an architect, an engineer, or an economist, to succeed in your field, what's really important is to deliver the message, to create an impact in the world. And we can do this by understanding how do we function, and also how people from around the world understand, interpret our message. Somebody coming from about 10,000 kilometers far we can already assume that this can come with large cultural differences. However, sometimes when you really just travel 100 kilometers away, national and ethnic differences can also shape the way we look at the world. Although we cannot tell that any culture is 100% high context or low context, what you can see on this image is that on the low context end, the US is considered as one of the most direct cultures. Whereas on the other end of the scale, you can see Japan considered as the most high context culture, or a culture that has the most high context elements. And all the other cultures take place somewhere closer to this end or the other end of the scale. Why is this important to us? It is because as closer we go to the low context end, we are going to pay attention on what is directly said. So somebody coming from, let's say, Germany or the Netherlands will likely mean what they say. When they ask you to do something or apply for something, they mean it. Yes is a yes, no is a no. But the closer we come to the high context end, we need a second degree meaning. This means that I might tell you yes, but it is an uncomfortable yes. So I'm not very happy to take part of something. We need to pay attention on what is said and how it is said, with exactly what words and in what context. We need to also pay attention on the body language. Moving the body forward, backward, hand movements, eye movements. So the facial expressions, bodily expressions are all going to give us additional information whether a message was received or it wasn't. So basically, on the low context end are cultures that we can also call as what cultures, what did they say? And on the other side of the scale, we can call them as how cultures. How was it said? What was it said? How was it said? First of all, active listening. Listening to what was said. Because as I mentioned, our word choice very much matters. What's also important or interesting is that if you speak several languages, you might realize already that our personality can change slightly by the language that we are speaking. Maybe in certain languages we sound more funny, or in others more professional. It's interesting, right? And the word choice that matters, and besides this also, how the body language supports what was said. So if you listen to somebody, although we always have an inner chatter, we have some thoughts and memories coming into our mind as we listen to others. It is also very important that we try to gather as much of information from the context so that we can respond at best. Open-ended questions can help us, particularly when we work with somebody who is rather more from a high context culture. So in this case, we won't end up with a clear yes or no, but instead, if we are unsure whether the counterpart would really like to take action, then maybe we can ask, how would you like to start that project? Or in what ways can I support you? Because these kind of questions are going to motivate us to give a full answer, a full complete sentence, instead of just saying yes or no. And adaptability. So as I mentioned in the beginning, cross-cultural competence, cultural sensitivity is like a muscle. When you go to the gym and you train your biceps, right? We need to train it day by day, give it some sort of resistance, different impulses. We need to work on ourselves to understand our own culture better, our own behavior better, and then we will be able to see the difference in the world, become more sensitive towards differences. And sometimes it's also interesting to ask, to understand how people are behaving. This is what is going to fill our professional life with more enjoyability, but also our personal life. This is how we can connect better at a human level. Bridge gaps, build connections. Your cultural intelligence is your global passport. Luckily, we are living in many of us are living in those countries where really we have the chance to work globally, to think globally, to learn languages. And this is something that can give us a great potential towards one another.